Yo, I am Dr. Cool. The current situation in Ivory Coast is concerning, and the reports are circulating online with video footage showing military vehicles slowly driving through the streets of major cities in Ivory Coast. The scene, crowds cheering, some even running alongside the convoy, waving Ivorian flags and shouting slogans of support. It's a familiar scene, evocative of other recent coups across West Africa. People are asking, has the military taken over Ivory Coast? Is this yet another chapter in the wave of military uprising sweeping the region? Before we can confirm what's truly happening, we need to understand the gravity of a military coup, why it's such a dangerous gamble for soldiers to attempt, and why, despite growing public frustrations, most senior military officers often refuse to engage in them. A military coup d'état, French for stroke of state, is a sudden and illegal seizure of power from a government, usually orchestrated by armed forces or a faction within them. Unlike a revolution, which often involves mass mobilization from civilians, a coup typically hinges on speed, secrecy, and control over key strategic locations. Here's how most coups play out. 1. Targeting power structures. Coup leaders identify and seize control of key power centers, state media, presidential palace, military barracks, police headquarters, airports, and sometimes internet infrastructure. 2. Arrest or neutralize the president. The sitting president or head of state is either detained, forced to resign, or in extreme cases assassinated. 3. Communication is everything. The coup plotters quickly use media, often state television or social media, to announce their takeover, justify their actions, and urge calm. 4. Securing military loyalty. The success of a coup often depends on whether the broader military supports it. If only a small faction rebels, it's easily crushed. But if key military zones back the coup, the regime can fall in hours. Despite what social media sometimes glamorizes, launching a coup is one of the riskiest moves any soldier can make. Here's why. Failure is fatal. Failed coup attempts often result in immediate imprisonment, torture, or execution. It's not just about losing, it's about surviving. Loyalists fight back. Presidents often maintain elite units fiercely loyal to them, such as presidential guards. A coup can quickly turn into a civil war if parts of the military remain loyal to the existing government. Foreign pressure, international condemnation, sanctions, and potential foreign military intervention often follow coups. Fractured military. Even if a coup succeeds, unity in the armed forces can break down, leading to rival factions and internal purges. Many coups are followed by counter-coup. Despite frustrations with political leadership, most generals and senior officers stay away from coups. Why? They're invested in the system. High-ranking officers often enjoy privileges, status, and wealth under the current political order. A coup threatens to upend that comfort. Institutional mindset. Officers trained in professional military traditions see themselves as defenders of the state, not political actors. I will be back shortly after this video. Engaging in a coup is seen as betraying the military's neutral role. Fear of national collapse. They understand that military takeovers rarely stabilize a country. Often they lead to economic turmoil, foreign sanctions, and prolonged unrest. Well, that didn't turn out as it used to in most coups, which have been perpetuated by junior officers. In the case of Ivorian, the bombshell hit different this time. It was allegedly a general who did the unthinkable, the same bodyguards of Mr. President amidst the glaring Western consistent footprint in Ivory Coast to establish US base to quench the flames of development of Ibrahim Traoré, the same tactics that was implemented in Ukraine that Russian President Putin refused, and ready with his nukes to nuke US if they dare. Which supposedly everyone thinks US will do a damn thing. But no US suddenly turned a barking dog that don't bite. Why? Because of nuclear weapons is the ultimate deal breaker that isn't friendly and shows no mercy. Back to Ivory Coast. A general that supposedly whose duty is to guard the president didn't even shoot a bloody bullet. He just marched into the State House as his influences gains majority military battalion support for his clean records and diplomacy. Captured the president of Ivory Coast. According to our source, the president of Ivory Coast didn't escape as portrayed by Western mainstream media. Instead, he is in military custody. At this point, the question in everyone's mind is he dead? Has the military took over? That brings us to today's video sponsorship. Meet the Wolfbox G900 Tri-Pro Mirror Dashcam. And let me tell you, this product bags more punches than Mike Tyson uppercut, enough cutting-edge technological features that will make James Bond blush. This isn't just another dashcam, it's a complete driving assistance solution, a game changer that offers next-level protection, clarity, and peace of mind. With the sharp rise in unpredictable road accidents these days, from reckless drivers to hit-and-runs and even false turns, here's where it gets interesting. Cops will not like this one bit, and that's why you need it, as it instantly gives you that bold edge over harassment. If you've heard James Bond said, perhaps you forgot my hidden...
You failed to take into account my hidden assets.
spot my hidden assets, Wolfbox G900 Tri-Pro comes as one. With that said, if you only live once, then make it count by making smart decisions by getting yourself a Wolfbox G900 Tri-Pro. You need more than just good instincts behind the wheel. You need a guardian, a watchful eye, almost like God's eyes on the road. First off, let's talk image quality. The G900 Tri-Pro captures the road ahead in breathtaking 4K, your rear view in crisp 2.5K, and the interior cabin in 1080p Full HD simultaneously. Whether it's license plates, sudden movements, or unexpected events, nothing escapes its triple lens coverage. And here's where it gets really smart. With built-in voice control, you can operate the dashcam hands-free. Keep your eyes on the road while commanding your cam to lock videos, take photos, or switch views. It features 5.8 GHz Wi-Fi, ensuring lightning-fast video downloads to your phone, and integrated GPS that logs your speed, route, and coordinates for extra protection in case of disputes. But what really sets it apart? That stunning 12-inch full-touch display, bright, responsive, and easy to navigate, giving you full control and visibility in real time. From daily commutes to long road trips, the Wolfbox G900 Tri-Pro is the ultimate driving companion, smart, sleek, and reliable. It's more than worth every penny. Stay smart, stay safe. Rest assured, with Wolfbox watching your front, back, and everything in between. With that said, let's get back on the today's show, shall we? In everyone's mind is he dead? Has the military took over? To answer that question, hear a video clip that best explains things in a broader way, which is a lesson to be learned by both victors and the vanquished. I will be back shortly after this video.
Sometimes it's taken, and sometimes it's forced to confess. The world thought it was over, that the coup in Ivory Coast had concluded with President Alassane Ouattara's fall. But what came next was far more dangerous than a military takeover. It was a reckoning. At 4:36 a.m. on the second day of the uprising, a classified image leaked. Ouattara, alive, seated under military custody. Calm, dignified, but undeniably defeated. Not in exile, not executed, but held by his own army. The photo shattered the international narrative. Ouattara had not escaped, as Western media had claimed. He was in Ivory Coast, and he was being asked to do the unthinkable. The man who had risen to power with IMF credentials, backed by France and praised by Washington, was now at the mercy of a younger generation of nationalist officers, led by a name soon to shake every embassy in Abidjan, General Sékou Doumbia. He wasn't a politician, he wasn't a celebrity. He was a disciplined, silent soldier with one goal. Ouattara came into power with the West. Let him leave power by rejecting it. It wasn't revenge. It was symbolism, a declaration to Africa and the world that the age of puppets and puppeteers was over. For decades, Africa was forced to choose between silence and survival. But now, a former president was being asked to choose between legacy and loyalty, and the world held its breath. Every revolution has its shadow general, until the day he steps into the light. Before the coup, General Sékou Doumbia was almost unknown outside military circles. No media appearances, no leaks, no flamboyance, just a clean record and quiet movements through the ranks. But within the Ivorian army, he was something else entirely, a symbol of dignity in a force bent under political weight. Born in Korhogo, raised during the turbulence of the Civil War, Doumbia witnessed how politics turned soldiers into pawns and generals into bodyguards for presidents, not protectors of the people. He studied military doctrine in Mali, strategy in Sudan, and insurgency response in Burkina Faso, not through Western programs, but through alliances built across sovereign African defense academies. He refused training invitations from France. He returned every bonus offered to suppress protests, and he kept asking the question many feared to raise: who is the army really serving? By 2024, the top brass saw him as a threat, but the younger soldiers, they saw him as a compass. So when the orders came to suppress another round of demonstrations in Abobo, Doumbia did something unprecedented. He refused. That night, dozens of soldiers joined him. In 48 hours, he had the loyalty of 3 major battalions and control over key transportation routes in and out of Abidjan. He didn't issue a manifesto. He didn't demand power. He marched on the palace, took Ouattara without bloodshed, and made only one request: speak and tell the truth about who you served. It wasn't just about taking down a regime. It was about taking down its narrative. Doumbia didn't want to become the next ruler. He wanted to end the illusion that Africa's rulers were truly in charge to begin with. You cannot break the machine if you do not name the hand turning its gears. In the hours following Ouattara's capture, no shots were fired, no looting, no chaos. And that was intentional. General Doumbia wanted the world to understand this was not a coup of ambition, it was a coup of exposure. Inside a sealed military base on the outskirts of Yamoussoukro, the deposed president was given medical care, food, and a written demand. It was simple, just one paragraph to be read aloud on national television. I, Alassane Ouattara, acknowledge that elements of my governance were shaped and guided by foreign influence, and I recognize the right of Ivory Coast to determine its own political and economic destiny without interference. At first, he refused. He was tired, cornered, embarrassed, but not broken. He believed the West would come for him, that France would issue a condemnation, that the US would call for his release. But no one did. They were silent, waiting, weighing their options, and that silence began to suffocate him. Meanwhile, Doumbia's forces released selected documents, secret contracts, offshore payments, resource agreements signed with French companies without parliamentary approval. They didn't smear him with slander, they suffocated him with receipts. One file alone revealed that a single European energy firm had paid $82 million in development consulting to an account traced back to Ouattara's inner circle. This wasn't a scandal. It was confirmation of what the people had always suspected. Then came the second message from Doumbia, not to Ouattara, but to the people. We will not move forward until the past admits what it was. Ivory Coast was not demanding an apology. It was demanding a confession. Because true independence doesn't begin with elections. It begins with truth.
At this point, official confirmation of a coup in Ivory Coast remains the most fascinating move, unimaginable spark that is shaking up the internet, as this general Sékou Doumbia may become the new face of Ibrahim Traoré-like, and the dominoes effects may become another jaw-dropping trajectory that will forever change Africa to Western world biggest nightmare. No credible government announcement has declared a takeover. However, from this juncture we can tell where this is going, coupled with this video clip. This is about to get interestingly fascinating, the way the West never saw coming. The circulating video showing crowds rejoicing and military vehicles moving slowly through towns might simply reflect heightened military presence, routine operations, or even misinformation being spread online. But public reactions are telling. In regions where people have felt ignored, oppressed, or economically suffocated by corrupt leadership, the sight of soldiers often symbolizes hope for change, even when the military's record and governance is questionable. If this is indeed a coup, it would follow a growing pattern across West Africa. Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and Niger, where frustrated young officers seized power, often with initial public support. However, in nearly every case, long-term stability remains elusive, and democratic institutions continue to weaken. If what we're seeing in Ivory Coast is truly a military takeover, it's not just another political shake-up, it's a reflection of a deeper continental crisis. One where governance failures, inequality, and foreign interference are pushing militaries into politics, while citizens cheer not for soldiers but for a new beginning. Still, coups rarely deliver what they promise. They may topple a president, but they rarely fix the root causes of poverty, corruption, or underdevelopment. The joy seen in the streets may be short-lived. So, has the military taken over Ivory Coast? We await confirmation, but if so, history tells us it's not necessarily a win for the people. It's just the beginning of a much more dangerous game.